Okay, so if you've ever been on the Tokyo Metro Chiyoda line, maybe you know that feeling, right? The Kita-Ayase trap?
Ah, yes. That slight panic when you realize you're heading off to the terminus, kind of isolated from everything else.
Exactly. A real dead end on this massive transit network. But the place itself, Ayase, or what used to be Minami-Ayase, well, it's anything but a dead end historically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's unpack this because we're diving into this area where one community got split right down the middle administratively.
Right, back in 1934. And that split between modern Adachi Ward and Katsushika Ward is exactly why you, as a traveler maybe, need to dig a bit deeper.
You have to sort of consciously cross that modern line to get the whole story.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission here is to, navigate through that history, find the shogun's old paths, trace some pretty famous warriors.
And find those hidden spots, those gems that are still there today.
Yeah, exactly. And to really get IS, you've got to start with the river.
What?
The water. It's named after the Ayase River.
Hmm.
And before the Edo period, I mean, way before they did all the engineering, this river was huge.
Bigger than the Moto Arakawa, apparently.
That's what the record suggests, yeah. Its old name was Ayashi no Kawa, which means something like the Wandering River, or maybe Mysterious River.
Because it kept changing course?
Constantly shifting, yeah.
Mm.
Or maybe looking like woven silk. It was a real defining feature, a challenge for the region.
Okay, so if it was this kind of chaotic wandering river, when did people finally, get a handle on it?
Well, that really comes down to the early Edo period. When the Tokugawa shogunate came in, they knew they had to sort of tame the Kanto plain, make it stable.
Makes sense.
So around 1610, maybe a bit earlier, this administrator, Inabizunokami Tadatsugu, he led this huge project.
And we're not talking small fixes here, right? This was major stuff for the 17th century.
Oh, absolutely revolutionary. Tadatsugu oversaw building the Bizen embankment. Think of this massive artificial dike, maybe 900 meters long, near modern Okinawa City.
900 meters?
Oh, wow. Yeah. And that wall basically separated the Moto Arakawa's flow from the Ayase River. It set the Ayase's modern source and, crucially, made huge areas safe for farming and building.
Incredible. Just one piece of engineering changing the whole landscape, making it safe for people, for crops, and I guess for moving goods, too.
Exactly. Once the flooding was under control, the river became reliable, a key transport route. All through the Edo period, boats, shun, used the Ayase to move goods, connecting the countryside to Edo.
So it became a logistics highway.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And that stayed important right up until maybe the 1950s. Then trucks and trains finally took over.
Okay, so you have this picture. A newly tamed landscape, still quite rural, relying on these quiet river routes. That feels like the perfect backdrop for something dramatic.
It really does, and that's exactly what happened, because in the chaos at the end of the shogunate, this quiet area became a hiding place for some very famous, very desperate people.
Who are we talking about?
The Shinsengumi. In 1868, the Boshin War is kicking off, the shogunate is collapsing, and the remnants of the Shinsengumi, including Kondo Isami and Hijikata Toshizo, they retreat from Edo.
And they come here to Ayase?
Right here. Specifically to the Gobi Shinden area, which is now in Adachi Ward. They needed to lie low.
How long did they manage to hide out?
19 days. They stayed at the Kaneko residence, and the amazing thing is, that house, it's still standing. You can actually visit it.
No way. So you can literally stand where Kondo and Hijikata were hiding.
You absolutely can. It's this incredible, tangible link to that moment when their future was completely uncertain.
Wow. And what's inside? Is it just the building or?
Well, they've preserved the guest room where they actually slept. But the really powerful story, the bit of lore, surrounds Kondo Isami leaving.
What happened?
The story goes that he left behind a photograph of himself, a rare original photo, right before he went to Nagareyama, which, is where he surrendered and was later executed.
Oh, man. Leaving his picture behind, like a final memento from his last days of freedom, that's heavy.
It really is. And then there's this other little story, a nice contrast to all that intensity.
Yeah.
Apparently, Hijikata Toshizo's, the demon vice commander, fierce reputation. He spent some time just fishing in the Ayase River.
Really? Just fishing?
Yeah, and the story says he gave the fish he caught to the local kids. It's this little glimpse of peace, of just normality, before heading back into the fight that eventually killed him, too.
What an image. These famous warriors hiding out, fishing. It's amazing history tucked away in Adachi Ward. Okay, let's mentally cross that ward boundary now. Let's head east into the Katsushika side of old Minami-Ayase-machi, where the shogun's presence was felt more directly, right?
Definitely more overt, yeah. And here we find this almost unbelievable historical flip-flop. Near Kosuge, there used to be the Kosuge
The
Palace.
palace, right here.
A big luxurious one. Shoguns like Tokugawa Yoshimune Ishii, that they used it for falconry. Falconry was all about high-status leisure, hunting, freedom. A place of, extreme privilege.
Okay, and what's there now? Because I feel like there's a punchline coming.
Oh, there is. It's probably one of the biggest ironies in Tokyo. That exact spot, the site of the Shogun's playground, is now the Tokyo Detention House, Tokyo Shishi.
Wow. From extreme freedom to extreme confinement, falconry to incarceration. That's quite the switch.
Isn't it? The gravity of that change is just immense.
Is anything left of the palace at all? Can you see any trace if you go there?
Well, the detention house itself is obviously highly restricted.
Yeah.
But one piece survived. There's an old Kosuge Goten stone lantern. It's designated a cultural property. It just stands there, this lone reminder of what used to be.
A single stone lantern. But you mentioned the Shogun's route. We can still find that.
Oh, yes. You look for a Matsubaraduri. That was the Onarimichi, the special road just for the Shogun's procession heading to the palace.
And you can tell it was important.
Absolutely. If you walk around there, you'll notice it instantly. It's significantly wider, straighter than all the little narrow alleys around it. That width, that straightness in the pavement, that centuries-old status right there. You can feel it.
So we've got the Shogun's road shaping the landscape. But what about the regular folks living nearby? What were they doing while the Shogun was out hunting?
That's a great question. Because while the palace represented power, the local people, farmers, and maybe some lower gentry, they developed this really fascinating niche economy, especially around Horikiri and Shichiba.
Okay, what kind of niche?
They specialized in tsumamano. This trade was big up until maybe the 1960s.
Tsumamano. What are those?
Think decorative vegetables, garnishes, really high-end stuff like delicate perilla leaves, mehiso, hojiso, or tiny, perfect little turnips or fine-rooted radishes.
So not for eating necessarily, but for presentation.
Exactly. They were called ochayamono tea house things because they were sold exclusively to the top restaurants and tea houses in Edo. It brought in good cash for the farmers. It was all about aesthetics, culinary prestige.
Farming dedicated to the perfect garnish. That says a lot about the craft here. And I thought that local pride led to some unique traditions, too.
It certainly did. Like the Momo Matsuri, the Peach Festival, in Koyanomachi, held every July.
Peach Festival?
Yeah. Young people would wear lion masks, male and female ones, and they'd parade through houses to ward off evil spirits. And they gave out peaches to people watching. That's where the name comes from.
That's fantastic. Okay, so for someone visiting today who's heard these stories, Shogun's Road, Shinsengumi Hideout, Garnish Farmers, what are the top hidden gems to actually see and experience?
Right, let's list a few. First, connecting back to that local spirit, check out the Horikiri Shobuen, the Iris Garden in Katsushika.
Famous for irises since the Edo period, right?
Exactly. But it had a tough time. During World War II, almost all the iris fields were converted to grow rice. Food was the priority. Only one original garden survived.
Ah, so the garden we see now isn't the original ancient one.
It's a resurrection. Beautifully restored and expanded after the war, so visiting it feels like seeing local resilience in bloom. It's quite special.
Nice. And near Ayase Station itself, you mentioned something about architecture.
Yeah, the Tokyo Budokan. It's a martial arts center, but honestly, just walk by and look at the building itself. The architecture is really striking. It's designed to look like flowing clouds. Worth a look, even if you're not going inside.
Clouds, cool. And we can still trace that legacy of water engineering too, right? Those canals?
Absolutely. For a really peaceful walk, find the Hachikamura Otoshi Shinsui Ryokudo. It's the canal walkway.
Sounds relaxing.
It is. About 2.4 kilometers of green path, trees all around. It was built by renovating the old Hachikasan Otoshi Borimari, the irrigation canals they dug way back in the Edo period for those new fields created by the Bizen embankment.
So you're literally walking on redesigned history.
You really are. It's a quiet slice of the past in the middle of the city.
Okay, one more. For the real history buff, someone looking for something older, quieter.
For that, I'd point you to Jukien Temple in Shitachiba. It was founded by a local figure, Akawa Juemon, who was a gyushi, sort of a local samurai or gentry.
And what makes it special?
It houses these really old stone markers. There's a Goshin II monument dated 1656 and a Yudono-san Kuyo-hi from 1664. These are physical anchors, you know. Direct links back to the religious life of the community right when that Bizen embankment was relatively new. Very atmospheric.
So this whole deep dive, it shows Minami-Ayase-machi wasn't just some random place on the edge of Tokyo. It's shaped by huge engineering, real historical drama, these incredible contrasts like the palace to prison and this persistent local culture.
Definitely. And you really do need to think across those modern Adachi and Katsushika lines to piece it all together.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
When you think about that IS River, the whole story of this area is a constant struggle with water, isn't it?
Yeah, first controlling the floods with those massive banks.
Then using it for transport. But then later, especially with urbanization, came huge problems with water pollution. Really bad, apparently, right into the mid-20th century.
And you read about the effort it took recently, in the last few decades, to clean everything up, to restore the Iris Garden, create these beautiful green canal paths like the Hachikimura Walkway.
Right. So think about this. When you take that peaceful stroll today along the clean, green Hachikimura path, knowing that Quiet Walk is built on centuries of struggle against the wild wandering river, then against pollution, fighting to make the water clean and the space green, what does that tell you about the memory, the sheer determination of this community?
It's a history you can literally feel under your feet. Makes you see that peaceful path in a whole new light.